Hello, I am Ciaran Granger.
And I'm his sister, my name is Phoebe.
And welcome to the first episode, the pilot, of our new show, Have You Ever Wondered?
This is a show where we're basically going to be seeing and testing film theories out, made by people that are obviously much more smarter and more intelligent than we are.
Yes. And for our first fan theory that we're going to look at today is a film theory on Mary Poppins.
Yeah. You know, the movie that came out like 50 years ago.
Yeah.
Ever heard of it?
Yeah, it's pretty underrated. Yeah, pretty unknown.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, unlike the Bedknobs and Broomsticks, that's
a classic. Everyone knows that one.
Anyway, so this fan theory, made by somebody on the website ET Online, when the film was celebrating its 50th anniversary, somebody on ET Online made up this fan theory, and he goes into a lot more detail on it. So I'll put the link in the description if you want to really see his full-on thing, because I think he says better in words than about it than I think either of us can really sort of do.
Yes.
Alright, so the fan theory goes like this. Mary Poppins was Bert's nanny.
What a twist!
The fan theory goes as such. Mary Poppins was Bert's nanny when he was younger, as he had a similar problem that the Banks children had when he was a child.
According to the song Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, Bert had a rather nasty father who would tweak his nose and told him that he was bad, as he was rather shy and introverted. And considering how he is now, how such a cheerful and carefree person managed to grow up in a childhood such as that and turn out as good as he did, well, he didn't.
Yeah, he's homeless and he's constantly changing jobs, but yeah, it appears that he doesn't seem to mind it. Almost like he's taking his jobs with an element of fun and turning them into a game. Something that Mary Poppins teaches the Banks children in her song Spoonful of Sugar. Bert possibly learned that from Mary when he was a child and is still treating every job that must be done with an element of fun.
Also, notice how Bert never questions Mary's magic and actually knows what to do when he tells the children how to get into the chalk drawing. He knows because he's been there before, because Mary was his nanny.
Yeah, they obviously have experienced the chalk drawing before, haven't they, when he was a little child. And another reason why Mary was Bert's nanny was because, like with Mr. Banks, she wanted to reform his nasty father to become a better man to his two sons. Keep in mind, two sons, we'll discuss that a little bit sooner. However, unfortunately, she failed, and he's still mean to this day, which is why Bert is on the streets. His father just pretty much kicked him out. Mary comes by every once a year to see how he's doing, as she feels like she failed him, which explains why Bert knows when Mary is coming back to Earth in the beginning scene.
Winds in the east, mist coming in, like something is brewing. About to begin, can't put me finger on what lies in store. I feel what's to happen. All happened before.
From my observation, it was also that he directed all of the audience as well.
Yeah.
Because he was almost like the narrator to the audience in that first beginning bit.
Yeah, he was the one that came up to the House of Admiral Boom and he showed Cherry Tree Lane and all that stuff. So obviously, Bert, he's obviously been there before in that situation, hasn't he? And being a man who's on the streets, he obviously knows what's going on, because it's happened before to him.
This imposing edifice, for first greets the eye, is the home of Admiral Boom.
And this also brings me to the next point in the theory, which concerns one man who has a horrible laughing disease, Uncle Albert. And Uncle Albert, believe it or not, was Bert's uncle. Which explains why Mary knows so much about him and his laughing disease very well. Because, remember, she says, oh, not again, that poor man, not again.
Last time it took us 3 days to get him down.
Uncle Albert was originally Bert's equally mean uncle. However, unlike his brother, he reformed due to Mary Poppins and became a lot more nicer and jollier.
Also note how Uncle Albert, Bert, See the connection there? And also it explains why, despite the fact he's obviously living on his own, it explains why he's well laid off, because he probably had a very big job and his brother gave him all the benefit.
Now, Mr. Dawes Sr., who is Bert's father...
He's the missing wheel. He's the thing that links it all together, and this is why I really wanted to do this theory in the first place, because this answers so many questions, so many unanswered questions about Mary Poppins that people have been wondering about for years.
Okay, so we've got Mr. Dawes Sr., and he runs the bank. He's a very mean and miserly person, sounding exactly like the nasty man that Bert was talking about in Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. After hearing about the wooden leg Smith joke, Mr. Dawes starts laughing and floats into the air.
Yeah, because have you noticed that Uncle Albert and Bert, minus the Banks children, they're the only characters that laugh and float?
Possibly it's almost like a genetic kind of trait that is being passed on.
Yeah, and that is the missing piece of the puzzle. Never mind the fact that Mr. Dawes Sr. is, again, played by Dick Van Dyke, like Bert is, which, again, gives the connection a lot more weight. Have you noticed that Bert never seems to get angry at Mr. Banks in the film? He has, you know that scene at the end? That's because Bert knows what it feels like to be under the eye of Mr. Dawes Sr.
We've also got the bit with Mary Poppins when she's with the children and she talks about the bird lady, and this also links in very well to Mr. Banks and the symbolism of Bert himself.
You were the one that brought this up. This was not in the fan theory I saw.
It wasn't in the fan theory, but I got this.
No, this is really good. So tell them, Phoebe, about your stunning observation.
Okay, so when Mary is talking about the bird lady, even though she's homeless and has nothing, she gives out what's probably remaining of her food to these birds to feed the birds, which also links into Bert's thing that he does, is that he moves from job to job, yet he continuously still wants to help people. He still wants to give people entertainment and joy. There's a bit where Bert talks about the bank being like a cage.
Yeah, he
like
does say that to the children, yeah.
He says it's like a cage that you can't get out of. And with the resemblance of a bird in a cage, you can kind of say that with Bert being with this family that is based upon being in a bank, he felt like, as his free bird spirit, that he was stuck inside this cage that he couldn't get out of. So when he finally left the bank, he left his cage, he became a free bird, which could then roam around and start helping people, rather than be caught up in a bank.
Bert does call the bank a bird cage where men are trapped. I mean, that's exactly the situation that Mr. Banks is in, and when Mr. Banks is fired from his job, he suddenly becomes happy and free.
Because he's free from the bank.
Because he's free from the bank. Like with Bert, he's a free bird as well, and he's no longer tied down in a cage.
So you got Mr. Dawes really wanted that sixpence that Michael had. So with the exchange of the sixpence that he was going to give to the bird lady, it's almost like he's trying to get a child who is to one of the people that he works with, so that he could be locked up in that cage. But we don't have anything against Banks, by the way. It's just that the allegory is just way too good in this film. Another thing to the fan theory that we haven't discussed yet is Mr. Dawes Jr. And Mr. Dawes Jr. pretty much took after his father, unlike Bert, pretty much, because if you see in the film, he's like a younger clone of Mr. Dawes Sr. But at the end of the film, he himself reforms as well and gives Banks the job of the chairman. So again, he's also a free. All of the rest of the bank people are free birds as well. So our next theory is a Willy Wonka theory. Willy Wonka, one of my favourite childhood films, so this is going to be something I'm really going to be interested in. The theory goes like this, and it can be found on TV Tropes, and again, I'll bring a link in the description if you want to see it, because again, he goes into more detail than I ever could. By the way, TV Tropes is a good website in general, so just go on to it. You'll find everything. Let's continue.
Great plug-in for TV Tropes, by the way. That was so not forced in. That was so.
It's something so that we don't have an ad. It's so we can skip over ads. This is the ad sponsorship.
Oh, it's TV Tropes are going to sue us because. Anyway.
Well, at least we're advertising them. It's not like we're not trying to diverge them to, I don't know, something else.
Oh god. Anyway, the fan theory goes something like this. Willy Wonka planned everything that was going to happen in the film.
What?
He had it all set out in case his little snide comments didn't tip you off already.
Help. Police. Murder. Stop. Don't. Stop. Don't. Come back.
Pretty much, the golden tickets were meant to be found by those 5 specific children. Charlie Bucket, Veruca Salt, Violet Beauregard, Augustus Gloop, and Mike TV. And it was not random. Case in point, why in the hell would Slugworth, who at the end turns out to be working for Wonka, why is he always there when the kids find the golden tickets? I mean, especially with Veruca and Charlie, because he appears just when they have got it. The theory goes on to this, which I think is a really cool theory. Pretty much, Slugworth put the coin that Charlie finds in the gutter there on purpose so that Charlie would be able to buy the golden ticket, and he made a deal with Bill the shopkeeper so that Charlie would get the ticket by giving him that specific chocolate bar which contained the ticket. Because have you noticed when we watch the film, Phoebe, you know, like I pointed out to you that if you watch the film, look at Bill's face after when Charlie gets the golden ticket. He has this face on his expression which is like, well, my work's complete. He so has that face, and I swear to goodness it was all set up. And it was obviously rigged because the theory goes that Wonka saw potential in all 5 of the kids in the running of his factory based on their strengths. Think about it, what their strengths would be.
So, for example, Veruca, she'd be able to keep the factory running due to her ties with the business finances, and could possibly start a beneficial partnership with Salt's peanut factory so he can have peanut chocolate or something like that.
Yeah, chocolate covered peanuts or something, which sounds delicious, by the way. Augustus would be the food taster, as he seems very, very well versed in food, especially chocolate.
Violet would work well as a customer provider, considering the fact that she can come up with slogans for the candies and chocolates due to her father being a car salesman.
Mike could handle the commercials, as he seems pretty savvy with how television companies sell their products. He's very, very intelligent, and he seems to know his way around the TV business. And finally, Charlie, well, he'd be
a great poster boy.
Yeah, pretty much the figurehead. Yeah.
I know it's kind of like an awful thing to say, but the idea of an underdog story always gets everyone going.
And pretty much, yeah, Wonka wanted all of these children to win because he knew their strength, but he had to test them, as we see in the movie, because all of it's a test. He also knew that with every strength they also have a weakness, an Achilles heel, if you will. For example, Augustus is gluttonous and impulsive, which is not the right attitude that a food tester should have.
Veruca is incredibly demanding and is emotionally out of control.
I say more psychopathic.
Which would be disastrous for a company as big as Wonka's.
Violet is very argumentative and brash, which again is not very good for somebody who wants to enter a business, and especially a customer provider at that.
And then we've got Mike, who is really irritating, rude, childish,
yes,
and would not go right for somebody in charge of commercialism. I mean, let's just think about it.
Gio Compario.
He came with guns. Toy guns.
And also, yeah, annoying commercialisms. Gio Compario.
And then we've got Charlie. Now, Charlie, although he's a nice kid, in this version he is shown as being quite greedy.
But understandably
selfish, let's be honest.
Yeah, because, let's be honest, if we were in Charlie's position, we would be kind of a bit greedy and selfish as well. I remember that bit where he has with his mum about, like, how he wants it more than any other kid in the world to get a golden ticket and get this opportunity of a lifetime, which we don't look down upon him for it, because it's just, you know, he's poor, Phoebe, you know, his dad died, his mother's working at a crappy job, and he's working a crappy job as well, which doesn't get paid very well.
And as I said when we were watching the movie again, I decided to make my own slight, snide theory about the reasons why Charlie is, why he says that, and why he, in that scene, incredibly selfish. And it's probably because of the fact that all of the kids that have got the chocolate, all the tickets, they all have a very nice upbringing. They at least have like a good amount of money behind them, whilst he literally has nothing. He is living off of nothing. He has to actually work. And we don't know how old he is. He's probably about, I don't know, 9, 10 years old, and he has to work. And they literally living off of water and cabbage. So for something like bread to come up is like a privilege in a way.
And especially when compared to, I think the biggest opposite ends of the spectrum are him and Veruca, because Veruca is a girl that gets anything that she wants, whereas Charlie can't get anything that he wants.
When we're talking about this theory, I was thinking of the Cheer Up Charlie song, that bit, and I was just thinking about, well, why would Charlie be in a situation like this? Now, I was thinking more of the idea of the upbringing, like, there's only the mother there. You've got all of the grandparents, and you're thinking, where's the dad? And going into the dad scenario, maybe it's the fact that Charlie hasn't got a dad anymore. It could be because of, I don't know, war. But in my opinion, it's because of the fact that he worked himself to death because they have no more money.
I mean, Grandpa Joe even says, you know, like, Charlie shouldn't be working. He should have to spend the time playing outside like a normal kid.
So for the idea that these children who are spoilt and bratty and have television and they have food and they're being spoilt beyond belief, that's what makes Charlie incredibly annoyed and understandably selfish.
You definitely came up with something when he looks at Violet in the TV, and you see him, and you see his face. And as a kid, I thought he was just, he was sad because he hasn't got the ticket. But you came up with
he's understandably sad because of the fact that she's got a chocolate bar. Her dad has all this money in the world from his used car salesman activities, and he's pissed off. He's absolutely pissed off.
Yeah.
So
he's disgusted.
So he's disgusted by her behaviour and why she would just be so nonchalant about it. She's been given a chance of a lifetime, yet she's not using it for any other reason.
Whereas he has to, like, work for a living himself.
And I think it's the same with Veruca as well. When Veruca and all the other kids got it, that probably was on television, he was understandably angry about it.
He decided to choose those specific rooms in general, like the chocolate room, the nut room, the inventing room with the 3-course gun meal, and the television room, because those would trigger their impulses, their weaknesses. And if you see Wonka's face, like, he seems very subdued about all of the kids running rampant. In the scene where Veruca is destroying and trashing the golden geese room, if you see his face, he's not, like, pissed off or anything. He's just kind of disappointed.
He's not disgusted or anything. He's just really disappointed.
Like, I've lost another one.
He's lost Veruca.
Yeah, because she would have been a really good necessity for his factory, and now he can't get that opportunity. She's pretty much blown it. I've just noticed that this episode has been going on longer than necessary. We had 2 other theories to talk about. Well,
it's actually one huge theory.
Yeah,
really.
Pretty much, but we'll probably save that for the next episode. But anyway, like, favourite, subscribe and all that jazz, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Bye!
Bye!